a warning?
There ain't nothing to worry about.
I'm worried that you work in an office, have children, celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexual is a sick and boring life.
Where's hotshot? There's a bomb on a bus. If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do? Where's Jack? Where do you think?
Stay on or get off.
Get off.
This is much better.
Pop quiz. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do?
Welcome back to the show, listeners.
Welcome back to the show. As Dorothy Spornak would say, is this something high octane?
I think this episode, as Dorothy Zbornak likes to say, will be...
It's Dorothy, right? It's not Rose, right?
High Octane means Dorothy. You should know this.
Yeah.
This is at the dance competition. Season 1. I can't believe it took us this long to get this movie.
I'm excited to talk about it.
As am I. Listeners, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay. Welcome back to the show. Last on, it feels like a few weeks ago, but probably about a month and a half ago, Adam J. Yeend, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
From our Sliver episode, and we had you on today. We got to our Speed episode.
You're picking some bangers, dude.
You're picking some bangers.
All about the bangers.
Yeah.
Directed by Jan DeBont, written by Graham Yost, released June 10th, 1994. I was reading about the release date for this. Originally put on the schedule in August, and after the really great test screenings, they put it in June to kind of get us ready for the summer action movies. I mean, True Lies would be July.
Same studio, too.
And this was following, I think, the third week of the Flintstones. So they kind of saw a little hole in the schedule for counter-programming. And I think that they made the right choice.
Yeah, my memories at Fox, I remember that it was, while True Lies is still a big hit, and obviously we all love True Lies, because Speed was so cheap compared to True Lies, the amount of money that it made.
Sure.
Like, Speed was the big thing that year at the studio everyone was talking about. They even had a bus kind of crash through the stage at the holiday party that year, kind of thing, to
I love
celebrate.
that.
Yeah. So...
Oh, my goodness. I mean, as I talk about a lot on this show, listeners, you're probably tired of hearing me say it. I am a Los Angeles native. This movie means a lot to me. I remember...
this is the ultimate Los Angeles set movie, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that we talk about this movie every single time we drive in this freeway stretch when we're driving out to LAX.
Get the hell out of here. We're going to the airport. Yeah. We're retracing their steps from this movie.
And isn't it great that it's just like the fact that it is on location, that it actually does scream LA? That's a big thing about the 90s movies when they're all just set in LA. Like Falling Down's another one as well. That's just a very sweaty version of LA. But it's that's the one thing watching this is like, they're just shooting this for real, like out around the city and driving a bus.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
And like I have memories of, that freeway that was not yet built. And
they got the production, the last few weeks of production, they shot on that stretch of freeway.
The 105.
Yep.
Yes. Takes us to the airport. It's a very useful freeway. Also seen in La La Land.
It actually works.
It actually.
I don't know. I mean, we won't turn this into like a La La Land crossover episode, but when I watch that movie, I'm just like, where the hell is this character?
Where's this broad going?
Where's she coming from? Where is she coming from?
Why is she on this?
Why is she on this stretch of freeway?
Yeah. Who knows? We're sticklers for that shit. They're pretty good as far as getting from one place to the other, and being in the right part of town for all of that.
There's a big jump from when Sandy gets on the bus on the west side, and then it cuts to outside of downtown. That's neither here nor there.
But I mean, not only that kind of stuff. This is very much the early days of the subway in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably introduced that LA
existed.
has a subway to a lot of people in America.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, this movie's a hell of a lot of fun for those reasons, and I enjoy just watching all of that scenery. But I think we all have our own kind of moment with this movie, and Keanu with this buzz cut.
Yeah. Oh, iconic.
I mean, we're coming off of like long-haired
Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Point Break was before this, and that was kind of where it started to be like, oh, he's heartthrobby, and then then we did this, and it was all over.
And it's the the body, like, because he's he was just like a thin like surfer build kind of guy, and and even in Point Break, and then in this, it's just
got
like
such good shape in this.
Shit.
Yes, yeah,
and the hair, the shaved head, like all that. That was just like that was a moment. I was in high school, and like my friends were just like, "Holy shit, Keanu looks crazy. He looks so cool."
Yeah. And also for Sandra Bullock too. Like I'd only seen her in Demolition Man.
Right.
I know that she had done other stuff, but like this was like the real thing. Like audiences fell in love with her instantly with this movie. And this like literally changed the course of her career, which is crazy because she almost didn't get the part. Which we can talk about
we'll talk
later.
a little bit about that later. I wanted to start out the show this is a big anniversary for this movie. I mean, Speed this summer. Last month just turned 30.
I know.
Can you believe that?
It's crazy.
So I wanted to do
crazy.
Before we get into the episode, I wanted to have a little quiz on the top 10 movies of 1994.
All right.
So the top 10, of course, this is at a time that every single one of these are bangers.
Yeah.
Like movies that we all grew up on.
Yeah.
That I pulled the tagline from the movie, and I want to see if you can guess them from the tagline.
All right.
Do you want to go in descending order? So 10 to 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do them. Yeah.
So number 10. Drink from me and live forever.
Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire. So just over $100 million. Yep.
I'm a winner, baby.
All right.
I was like, who is that?
It's Diana.
So number 9, the greatest gambler in the West has finally met its match. His match.
Maverick,
very good.
That was
Maverick, one of those movies that we kind of forget that. I mean, Mel was a huge star in the early 90s.
I saw it at my
I definitely grew up
theater.
on Maverick.
Yeah, I saw it in a tiny theater I lived near with my parents. I remember that. Yeah,
And it was so much fun,
I've
right?
never seen it since. Actually,
It's a
Oh, yeah,
fun,
same,
and it's
yeah.
also a fun salute to just Western cliches. I remember when I was in a film class in college at the University of Montana, I took an American Western film, and our instructor showed Maverick just because it uses Western cliches so well in that movie that kind of you see everything of a classic Western movie in that. But yeah,
Cool.
I think that I should revisit Maverick one of these days. All right, number 8. From Zero to Hero.
The Mask.
The Mask, very good.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like totally my era of reading movie magazine and looking at every ad and
I was
reading
like-
the tagline. So it's all coming back to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to scream Hercules.
Like studying marketing, studying.
I mean,
movie
I feel
marketing.
like, is it the first movie to sell From Zero to Hero in its copy? Maybe.
Yeah.
The other ones that I pulled was Stanley Ipkiss is not the man he used to be, and Smokin'.
We just had From Zero to Hero in
Yep.
Australia. Anyway, that's what we got.
I love that you got
Okay.
that. All right. Number 7, Get Ready for Rush Hour.
Speed.
Yep.
here.
Right there on the poster.
Right here,
Yep. Number 6, Truth Needs a Soldier. The war on drugs would lead him to the war of power. This was an adult movie that I still have not watched.
The War on Drugs.
This
would
was a
lead
movie
him-
for grown-ups
would
when I
lead
was a
him
kid.
To what? The
Okay.
War on Power?
Truth
it doesn't-
Needs a Soldier.
it's
The
not
war of drugs would lead him to the war of power.
And this is 1994.
This is an Australian director, Adam.
and
And think of the last movie that we talked about.
It's not
Who
Babe.
directed it?
Oh, it's a Philip Noyce film.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So this was a bit. I mean, at one time. I mean, I guess that
I only thought
there's
that he
still
did, I
there's
thought he
still
broke in here with like doing the Clear and Present Danger.
it's clear.
It is.
It
Clear
is?
Present-
It's shit.
Ah.
Clear and Present Danger.
I've not- yeah,
Do you
okay.
think that Clear and Present Danger feels like an earlier movie from the 90s than
Yeah.
94? Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, with Harrison Ford.
That tagline
Jack
does not
Ryan.
ring a bell. So that's
That
just
is
random
weird.
guess. Yeah, wow. So I'm not even going to claim that because I just I didn't even know.
I hate that tagline.
You're talking it through. I never really grew up on any of the
Jack Ryan
movies.
Yeah.
They were never my thing. I mentioned that this movie seemed too adult for me as a kid that I didn't really have any business watching this.
Yeah.
So I still haven't seen it.
That tagline doesn't even draw me in as an adult though. So
who is it for? Mm-hmm. All right, what number are we?
All right, so number 5.
Okay.
Coming May 27th, 1994 AD.
The Flintstones.
The Flintstones, very good. Cool. That Speed was moved from
AD.
August as counter programming in June.
All right.
We just revisited this. We just revisited the Flintstones.
How does
kind
that
of a
hold up?
weird movie,
It's weird.
but beautiful looking though.
Really?
Like it's so immersive that they created this entire cartoon world that I think that alone makes it worth revisiting. But Mama, the story is a mess.
How did you watch it? Is it in HD somewhere? Can I?
I think that we just watched. I think that we just watched it on Netflix. I think. I think it goes off on a streaming platform.
See, I thought that it was a Spielberg directed film.
It's produced.
But
It's an Amblin movie.
But even on my I had a little poster that said Steven Spielberg presents on it. So I always thought that it was his, but it's not. He just put his name on it, but it's not. He didn't direct it.
He forced
John Goodman
to be in it.
Oh.
So.
It was pretty much, John, we're going to be making the Flintstones and you're going to be in it.
I wonder what that's like to be forced by Steven Spielberg.
There's some interviews with John Goodman where he does not seem the most pleased to be recounting the story. Just kind of like, wow, that's what I kind of fucking had to do if I wanted to show my face in this town again.
We're huge dorks for Vasquez Rocks outside of Los Angeles, and those sets of the
Bedrock.
street of Bedrock are pretty cool. Because they do it right in front of Vasquez Rocks.
I've never been to Vasquez. I need to check it out. Yeah,
It's quite beautiful.
All right, number 4. This Christmas, the snow hits the fan.
Jingle All the Way? No.
Not quite. Jingle All the Way, I think, was 97.
Snow
96.
hits the fan.
I have another one, too.
Okay.
Christmas movies are... And they never did the snow in the marketing in Australia because it's in the middle of summer.
Sure,
so snow never... Anyway, so
okay.
What if your dad was Santa Claus?
And you said Jingle All the Way. It's not Jingle All the Way?
Santa Claus?
The Santa Claus.
It's the Santa Claus.
Right. Okay.
And then the last one, Scott Calvin must become Santa. No if and ands.
No ifs, ands, or
Just
buts.
one big butt.
I had no idea that movie was that big.
Yeah, it was a huge hit in America here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. All right, number 3. When he said I do, he never said what he did.
That's True Lies.
True Lies.
Yeah.
You know, True Lies, not a movie that I grew up on. I
really?
didn't watch True Lies until this past year.
Oh,
that
wow.
I feel like I would have had to watch that movie as a kid to really respond to it. That I just thought it was okay.
Really, we did a 70mm screening at Fox. It held up. I think it's solid. I think it's, for Jamie Lee Curtis, I think it's
great set pieces. Jamie's great in it.
How did you receive Bill Paxton's line describing Jamie Lee Curtis?
Well, I was just about to say,
how did that play for you?
This is what lost us.
Remind me what the line is.
Oh,
you want me to say it?
Repeat this. I said it. I can't do this.
He says she's got an ass like an 11-year-old boy.
A 10-year-old boy. And a set of titties makes you want to stand up and beg for buttermilk.
Yeah.
I think that line might need to be workshopped a little bit.
Well, when it played at Fox, I was the only infantile person that burst out laughing and clapped.
It's so stupid.
And of course, in a corporate world, a studio, no one wants to laugh at that.
Right.
But I was like, I had to. I was.
You have to because it's.
I want to know if Paxton outlived it or James Cameron wrote it. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
The terrorism aspect of that movie, I do not think ages well, and
No.
I feel like Jim would probably agree with me.
He has said that.
Yeah.
He has. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Jamie Lee Curtis in that film.
Oh yeah, she's great in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget my stepdad being obsessed with True Lies because of Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie, and we're watching it for several. I don't know what number of time we're sitting down. It's just on a weekend afternoon, and she's doing her right before she's about to do her little dance number. She's just about to get the water and slick her hair back, and he says, "Watch this scene. She's built like a brick shithouse."
Oh, that sounds like my grandpa.
And I was
would say
like, "Uh huh."
All right, Jim.
You're right.
Yep.
She sure is.
And also,
And I'm here for it, Mama.
I think that the tango with Arnie and Tia Carrera in the opening is one of the best tangos on film I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love Tia Carrera. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
so good.
amazing. Yeah.
All right, number 2, The Story of a Lifetime. When I get this second one, you're probably going to get it.
The Story of a
The Story of a Lifetime.
Robin Hood was 92.
Doesn't ring a 94.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you're going to get it on this next one.
right.
Okay.
Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always forget about Old Forrest.
298 million.
94, that's right.
Just narrowly missed the number 1 movie of 1994. Here's the tagline: the greatest adventure of all is finding our place in the circle of life.
The Lion King.
The Lion King.
Yeah.
Yep.
King. Lion King was number 1 movie of 94.
Number 1 of 94.
Damn.
Yep. I can't believe The Lion King just narrowly missed out Best Picture. Like, it's kind of shocking.
Was it even nominated for Best Picture?
It wasn't nominated for Best Picture. It didn't crack that. I mean, it got Hans Zimmer his first Oscar, and it got original song.
Beauty and the Beast was the only Disney
Beauty and the
animated
Beast
feature.
had just been nominated in 91. That I'm kind of surprised that The Lion King was having such a moment, and it was so critically acclaimed and making so much money that it just narrowly missed out that Best Picture 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And how's that Lion King brand now?
Yeah. Mufasa, coming December. I mean, it can't be any worse than the first remake of it that came out a few years ago.
Right. I have a rule that if I don't like the first or the previous one, I shouldn't be expected to go see the next one.
Right.
So I'm just not doing it. I can't. I just can't do it.
And that's a director of Moonlight.
I know.
So, like, they must have offered Barry Jenkins so much money to direct
and
that.
I say, like, yeah, and I think he's incredible, and that's also a consideration to go see it. He's the reason to go see it. I think I've not seen a director get through the Disney machine. I mean, look at what happened with Indiana Jones, with Mangold, who I think has had a flawless track record.
Chloe Zhao from Nomadland went on to do.
Yeah,
I
feel like we'll wait until the film comes out.
Yeah,
I
we'll
hope
see.
it's great, and I hope people love it.
I mean, it's probably going to make money.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It might.
But,
yeah, I mean, Inside Out 2 is doing great, so maybe they're back. People are.
I mean, top 10 movies in 94.
Listen, not for nothing, Jon Favreau is doing some really good work at Disney right now with Star Wars.
Yeah, you're enjoying the new Star Wars show right now.
Yeah, Jungle Book was fine.
I think it's the best of all of the live-action remakes.
Agree.
Yeah. I just, I don't know.
Speed.
Speed.
Okay,
Let's
so
get
I
into it. Come
always
on.
say that a movie is up for grabs for us to do on the show if I had a poster of this movie in my childhood bedroom, and I had a giant poster for Speed.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandy is like your ultimate kind of beard. She's
Sandy's
perfect.
my ultimate girl.
You have her on your notebook. It's like,
yes,
yeah,
I had her
she's-
on my notebook. She was my cover.
See?
I had her and a few others. Yeah, I had, but it was just all about Keanu. And
Well, I mean, yeah.
I was trying to think what my early references for Keanu would have been prior to Speed, because I didn't really watch Bill and Ted as a kid, and I was thinking that it would have had to have been Babes and Toyland with Drew Barrymore.
Right.
I think it was probably one of the first times I ever saw Keanu in anything.
Wow.
Girl, that movie
I'd
is
seen
awful.
Bill and Ted, and I'd seen Point Break, but this was like, again, a whole. And I'd always wanted to rent my own private Idaho, but I wasn't old enough at that point.
Right.
So this was like all new for me. Although I had seen also Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I know that he cops a lot of flack for that, but he's not the reason to watch that film or why it's so freaking good.
Yeah.
Carfax Abbey.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I just was aware of him, but Speed again just kind of put him into a whole new stratosphere. I think everyone involved with the film got put into a whole new, including the director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I have been on board with Keanu Reeves. I remember my sister watching The River's Edge on cable and me going, I don't think I should be watching this, and finishing it. And I mean, you want to talk about my own private Idaho? Like, again, my sister rented that stole it, watched it.
And there's gay shit in my
There's
own private
gay
Idaho,
shit in
too.
that.
Yeah,
Bill
there
and
is.
Ted. In Parenthood,
Oh, that's right. He's
1989, he's dating Martha Plimpton, and there's a scene.
Such a weird couple.
It's a very weird couple. There's a scene where then they're kind of like these punk kids, right? And she gets pregnant, and it's the whole thing. And he moves in, and Diane Wiest is the mom, and she doesn't know how to deal with this wacky surfer boy that has like these kind of like Taoist kind of little like sayings, about like you gotta get a license to catch a fish, but don't let anybody be a father and all that stuff. But there's a scene where because they're so wacky, they give each other haircuts and they shave the sides of their heads, right? And in 1989, it was like, well, they look crazy. Like jump on the back of the motorcycle and go join the circus. The haircuts are very like current. They look super cool, right? By today's standards. But in 1989, I'm watching this, and she shaves the side of his head, and he comes out, and I was just like, oh my god, I am into boys. That was it. I was like, this. He is so cute, and this hair is so fucking cool, and like I was just like, that movie like changed something in me.
Yeah.
And also the subject matter in it too is it's an interesting rewatch. But that was one of the earliest memories I have of Keanu and just being like, oh my God, he doesn't look like anybody I've ever seen before, and I am all here for it. And so I was just kind of on board with him since then. And obviously Bill and Ted. I had my stepdad at the time was very into movies, and he was very into bootlegging movies, by which I mean daisy chaining the VCRs together. Recording them. And so he liked movies, and he knew that I liked them too, and so he would ask the guys at the video store about the posters. What do you do with the posters when you're done? And the guy was like, you could take them if you want. And so he would take them to kind of decorate his his office space. He had a workshop in the back, and so he decorated them with his posters, and he gave me a Bill and Ted one, and it was huge. It was from the video store, so it was like the size of the wall, and I had that in my room for a long time. And it's just a Bill and Ted sitting on the top of the phone booth.
I'm more of an Alex Winter girly whenever I revisit Bill and Ted.
All about Alex
There's
Winter.
something so cute about Alex in that movie.
Really?
With his little midriff shirt.
Interesting. I haven't revisited Bill and Ted for a while.
Those sleepy bedroom eyes.
They're cute.
I think I was
funny.
Well, I was 14. So I think this movie was just definitely another nail in my heterosexual column.
Yeah.
But it took me a while even to realize, like, again, just not having really the awareness. Everyone was all my friends were all about Sandra Bullock, and she's really cute. And I'm like, and then I was like, and I just talked to you guys, but I was like, at this point watching the movie on VHS. I didn't see it on the big screen.
Same.
I've seen it on the big screen subsequently since, but and I was like, oh, I don't want to be Keanu in this movie. I want to be driving the bus in this movie. It's like, oh, and I was like, oh, that was like one of those. And then I'm having this whole other conversation with myself as I was watching it. So, I had to, but yeah.
Absolutely. And this time period, it's 1994, so I am a junior in high school, and me and my friends, me and my best friend at the time in particular, were super into. We were skateboarding. We were listening to the Beastie Boys nonstop, and we were kind of up to no good. And so this was when we did decide to shave our heads for the first time.
Right.
This was the one that we were like, okay, we can do this.
You're going to look just like
It wasn't because it was because of Keanu. It wasn't the bodyguard. It wasn't Kevin.
It was not Kevin Costner.
You're going to look
Thank
just
you very
like
much.
the character Jack Craven from Speed.
Yeah, Jack Craven. What is that? No, well, the thing was,
the trailer for LAPD. Remember Jack Craven?
Jack. Yeah. No, we wanted to look like Ad Rock, right? We wanted to look like the Beastie Boys. Okay, but at the my mom was like, "You're not going to shave your head." I was like, "We're going to give each other buzz cuts," and we just did it one day. And I came home, and they were like, "What did you do? Why is this a big deal? It wasn't a crazy haircut. We didn't take like a razor to it. We just had a clippers.
It's not like it was pink hair.
No, it was clipped. Well, that was later, and that I
mohawk.
did get in trouble for because we clipped it with like a 2 or something and just went all the way around, and then we just do it ourselves. But then when we bleached each other's hair, that's when we got in trouble. But whatever, I dyed it back. But I still have pictures. I shaved my head for a long time. It was a look, but it was most partially inspired by this. But I was very and I remember a lot of my guy friends just being like, "Holy shit, Keanu looks fucking cool in this movie."
Even looking at the Laserdisc cover here, like that poster is just like it's a bus with flames and his floating head. And normally floating head posters are like frowned upon.
Yeah,
this it just sells the movie, and it sells him as he looks like a fucking movie star. It's crazy.
Totally.
This
is I don't know what about this movie is the ultimate like Laserdisc movie too. There's something just the era
widescreen edition.
Yeah.
Dolby.
Well, it won the Oscar for
THX
best sound effects editing and sound mixing.
Okay.
And it's still the home end sound mix now, which has been now on the 4K disc, it still sounds incredible. It's just really well mixed, that film. It's just
So is this the first time that we got it's Die Hard on fill in the blank?
Die Hard on a Bus.
This is Die Hard on a Bus.
But is it Die Hard on a Bus?
It's not, but I feel like everybody
think that
really
who directed Die Hard? John
Frankenheimer?
I'm having Frankenheimer. I'm having an absolute brain fog.
John McTiernan.
Thank you. Yeah.
That he turned down the directing job. So he was offered.
Yeah.
He was offered.
Well,
Speed.
I think DeBont was trying to get directing jobs in Hollywood for a long time. And
He
having
shot
been such
Die
a
Hard and The Hunt for Red October.
Basic Instinct.
Then he was a cinematographer.
And he shot Flatliners for Schumacher, and he was known for being like a daredevil cameraman. He did stuff that was no one wanted to do, that even his crew wouldn't do.
Mauled by a tiger on the set of Roar. I love that story.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard stuff about what he did on Twister, and even on this film, and that like he would literally just lean out of a helicopter if he had to, and just hold the camera. And so he demands a lot of as a director, demands a lot of his actors. But this was his first film, pretty low budget and low risk. So he got the job, and it's became his calling card.
I mean, to call this movie low budget, it looks like
it looks incredible.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Huge.
It's not like by today's standards, you would never get talking about like shooting in LA. Everything would be green screened. The bus would be CG.
Yeah,
I'm hearing a lot of that complaints right now with the new Twisters movie about like in the original film there was no green screen. What was CGI? The cow and the Twisters. Everything else, that the debris. They used like jet engines to blow the debris. There was a house going across the road. The truck was in the air. Like that truck is a full scale semi trailer. Like replica they have flying through the air, and I think with this as well, like we're just it looks expensive because it's so practical,
right?
And,
So you mentioned Twister. I briefly want to mention that we just bought the 4K disc of Twister, and that transfer looks fucking incredible.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best 4K discs that we own.
I think it's one of the best too. I would say anyone that's interested in these 4K. Transfers and restorations, I would tell you all to hunt down any that DeBont has supervised. His speed transfer is equally as good. He did that at Fox right before Disney took over. He did Flatliners because Schumacher had passed, and he shot Flatliners, and that looks incredible. So does The Haunting. Say what you want about the film. It looks it's an incredible transfer. It's reference quality. I think he's just got a great. He understands the format, and obviously being a DP, he knows. He knows how to make the format work. It doesn't betray. I know he did some recoloring for a scene in Twister, but he really makes it look organic, and Speed as well. Like when I saw the 4K restoration of Speed on the Fox slot on the big screen, I was blown away by how good it looked. It looked brand new.
There's something about the practical work in these movies that really stands out, but there's also, like you were saying, that he pushes these actors to do things. We're sitting there watching this movie going, that is fucking Keanu.
Keanu is underneath this bus. They are going very, very fast.
Showing his face.
Yeah. It's a really physical performance of his. Like even the opening with the elevator sequence and that, like him and there's an actual. I'm sorry to plug another podcast, but there's a podcast devoted to speed, and I can't remember who it was. Someone was talking about like working with Keanu and Jeff Daniels, like when they turn up at the high rise when the elevator is being held up and it's got bombs attached to it and stuff. But like Keanu was asking, like, what's our flow? What's our rhythm? Like, we're a team, and everything and that. And like, was just so the whole performance of his is so focused and physical, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's hanging upside down, like like with the hooks and all that stuff in those early scenes in the movie, and it's that's what's really cool about this movie as a whole is that there's like all that set up at the beginning, and it's a huge set piece with the falling elevator and those explosions and all that. We've got the entire like meat of the movie on the bus. Then we've got the whole situation like on the subway afterwards. There's a lot going on, but it never feels disjointed. It always just feels
like how did we get here?
Right.
It's a lot of blockbusters
and minimal setup too, because I was thinking like the opening, it just has a bunch of people finishing a corporate meeting walking into an elevator.
Right.
And also to the casting, I would say that one of if I think of a movie about incredible casting in terms of casting civilians, whether it's the elevator sequence or the passengers on the bus, these people look like they belong there. They don't. No?
There's one woman who looks like a waitress at a 50s diner.
Oh, really? In the elevator?
In the bus.
Oh, in the bus.
She's got like the cat eye glasses.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah,
the little
yeah.
Betty Page
She
bangs.
has somehow time traveled from 1958.
She looks like the lady. I don't know if we shouldn't talk about this movie, but she looks like the lady from Borat that works at Pink Cheeks Beauty Salon where he gets his anus bleached.
Sure.
That's what she looks like.
Well,
but like, I don't think I feel like I've seen that lady. I mean, I feel like
it's a specific, and on a bus in Los Angeles, you see all kinds. There is an old Janine Garofalo stand-up special. She's talking about speed. She's making fun of it.
What?
It's Janine Garofalo.
I think I covered it all. Starbucks, Weezer, Mentos, Kathleen Turner. Did I talk about Speed yet? The movie Speed? All right, this will be my last thing. Okay, this will be it because I have cable in my hotel room and I saw the movie Speed. Highly implausible. Highly. I don't buy it. The bus actually stopped for Sandra Bullock when she was running after it. I don't buy it. The rest of it, yes, but not the part where Sam, the bus driver, stuff. She knew Sam, the bus driver. And they should just go the whole nine. You know what I mean? Like they were so trite in their portrayal of the movie, and everybody's sitting on the bus. They had every stereotype on the bus, the construction worker. Why not just go the whole nine and have like Eskimo with a harpoon sitting back there, Indian full headdress, shifty-eyed gangster, pinstripe suit, fingering a violin case. Why not? Thank you. Good night.
And her idea is she's upset that for a couple of things, and there are a couple of things that I agreed with.
Okay,
the fact that not only Sandy, but Beth Grant, Helen, they all know Sam by name.
It's Sam.
Sam.
Well, he's their driver. They always get this bus.
Listen, Mama, I take the bus to work 3 days a week. I have yet to encounter the same driver.
But it's community. It's different. We don't have community anymore.
I live in a small town. South Pasadena is a community. We can walk to the post office.
And Keanu also knows the guy at the coffee joint in Venice too. I mean, I could see that happening if you're a regular. I mean, to me,
you can know the guy at the coffee place, but the bus driver is a stretch.
I think it's
It's charming.
Right. It's charming, old school Americana.
Right.
And I'm going to take my naive Australianness and just say that I buy it.
In a city like this, I've taken the subway and the train for years now, and I've yet to ever see the same employee twice.
Yeah. Well, it seems. Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm not going to let that bother me. It doesn't bother me.
But Janine mentioned that the people on the bus were a very they were like a very United Colors of Benetton kind of situation, and she said that there was kind of someone representing like each kind of minority group, and she said there was in the back there was an Eskimo and like with can't even say Eskimo. Well, first she said Indian full headdress, and then the Eskimo with the spear.
I'll have to find it and cut it.
Okay, okay, I'll let her have it. That's fine.
So,
I mean, I'm just running through all the passengers. I'm running through the people in the elevator. It feels organic to me.
No,
I feel
yeah,
like
I
was
fine.
noticing people that were called back for Twister that are in this movie in little bit parts. I mean, we have
and for Speed 2,
obviously Alan Ruck, who's a part of the gang in Twister. But then there's also that big character actor. I can't remember his name, but you have seen him in something.
His name is Patrick Fischler, and he's the guy with the really dark eyebrows.
Yep.
He works on Carrie Elwes's team.
He's also in the elevator.
right?
Yep.
Also, well, yeah, obviously, and then Speed 2. Not only do you have Glenn Plummer coming back, but also the lady in the elevator that will not get off the elevator.
The one who loses a shoe and says,
And then
"My shoe."
she's in Speed 2 on the cruise ship. She's in
stresses me out.
Speed 2, and her husband, she's like, I'll take a caramel unfiltered. And the husband's like, aren't you wearing that nicotine patch? She's like, she's stressed out from the elevator, like she's got PTSD.
Sure.
And she says, the only way that patch is going to help me is if I roll it and smoke it. And it's like, this is like 6 degrees of the Speed universe becomes very small because Jack saves that woman, and then Annie ends up on a cruise ship with her.
Sure.
Like, so this is a very small community.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But movies that made us gay, Treasure, Beth Grant as Helen.
Oh gosh,
I
feel like it's
love Beth Grant.
What is movies that made us gays' favorite role of hers? Is it between this and Donnie Darko?
Probably. I mean, she's got some really great lines in Donnie Darko.
Sparkle Motion,
Sparkle
doubting
Motion.
your commitment to Sparkle Motion.
Yeah.
We love Beth Grant.
But I mean,
I
I
do
love her
too.
in anything. She's in Practical Magic, right?
Is she?
I don't think that she is.
Oh, am I making that up? I
She
just made
should
that
be
up?
in
I thought she was.
The Coven 2.0, but
Let
she's
me-
not.
She should be in Practical Magic 2 now that they're making
There
it.
you go. Let me circle back to the
She's
woman in the elevator.
She's
Yes.
Camel Unfiltered?
Yeah.
My goodness. That's like smoking 5 cigarettes at once.
Yeah.
I've once in my life taken a puff from a Camel Unfiltered,
Yeah.
and that shit, I still have like PTSD.
I have a problem with her
Awful.
showing up. I mean, there's a lot of problems with Speed too, but I feel like, come on, dude, like, can we just but he wanted to get everyone back and people, and it's not fun for the audience because it doesn't make sense. It's too much of a coincidence.
And you said Glenn Plummer from Showgirls is also back?
Yeah, he's back
Speed 2?
in Speed 2. Yeah, he's at the climax at the end that helps Jason Patrick rescue Sandra Bullock. And
get his
he's
car
one of
wrecked?
his favorite film jobs ever.
Oh.
He said on the other because the production was so delayed, he just got to hang out in that island, that tropical island resort where the ship crashes into, waiting for them to get to there to shoot.
He got paid.
So he got paid. So
Yep.
he said the shoot could run as long as it wanted to. I was sitting there having a
Speed
great
2
time.
Cruise Control, a movie that was probably great in a pitch meeting, but once you actually get there...
Yep. I remember it's actually one of the first film websites I ever visited, back when they did movie websites. It's that and MarsAttacks.com.
Oh, right.
With the two. And but Speed 2, one thing I will look, should we even talk about Speed 2? I don't know, but
It's okay.
One thing I like, I can appreciate certain aspects of it. I mean, the problem with that film was it never had a finished script. They didn't have Keanu, and I love Jason Patrick as an actor, and I think he's incredibly charming and charismatic, and he also does crazy stunts in that film. He almost died. I think he cracked his skull at one point, but it's like there's no momentum to it except for the last 30 minutes. It just has incredible camera work and a good score, and poor Fox marketing. Looking at the Speed poster here for Speed 2, they double italicize that font to make sure. And even
But this time we get Sandy on the cover.
and even
Yep.
even the Rush Hour Hits the Water is triple italics. They did everything they could to suggest this is fast. And it's not.
I like when they were doing. I like when Sandy was doing press for The Lost City with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes.
Or no, I think it was as they're making it that Dan like approached her and he's just like, I'm a huge Speed 2 Cruise Control fan.
Yeah.
And Sandy was like, that is very sweet of you, but honey, that is a terrible movie.
Yeah. It's like, look, it doesn't work. It absolutely doesn't work. But I could list off the reasons as how it could be fixed. It actually could be fixed if they had a script. But like, again, the last 30 minutes is incredibly well made. Soundtrack is great. The supporting cast are really good, and and again, like part of that era of like talking about soundtracks, like that UB40 song, and that I got the Speed 2 CD on sale for $10, and it became like my jam. Like a year after the movie came out, I love that soundtrack, even though. And it's also a bit of trivia. It's the only Fox movie where the 20th Century Fox fanfare is played by the orchestra playing the score because the composer wanted to meld it into the theme, and the Fox logo kind of ripples into this water. And they couldn't get it to work by playing the classic 20th Century Fox.
Oh,
so it's
interesting.
if you go onto YouTube, it's like 4 octaves higher. And I remember when the movie started, there's something wrong with the sound. And when I saw Speed 2 at the theater, and yeah, so it's interesting, the opening, and I think that opening is very, very cool, and then it's all downhill from there. But, yeah.
I mean, they try to recapture the magic of this movie, but, you know.
Also, it doesn't have the grit, and I think that's a problem. When you spend $150 million on a movie, whereas Speed 1, how much did it cost?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know.
I think it's like 40 million.
I would probably say around
30, 40. I think.
I would say around 40 to 50 million.
So when you spend 150, you need more butts on seats. So Speed, not that this makes a movie good, but Speed has really brutal casualties. It has a lot of swearing in it, and it kind of pushes that adult seriousness to another level. Whereas Speed 2 is PG-13. No one swears. It just everything's soft, barely. There's barely any casualties. So it's flat. It doesn't have that grit to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in our movie, in Speed, the dialogue is, it's there's some good stuff in there, but there's also some corny stuff going on.
Well, there's
some corny stuff.
There's kind of a famous story. So this movie is written by Graham Yost, but Joss Whedon did a big rewrite of the script that he was not credited from the WGA. I would imagine over weird politics.
He actually owns a poster, and it does exist. An original Speed poster where his name is on the bottom.
So they did mock-ups of the poster with his name on it?
Well, they did actually. I don't know if they got out to theaters or not, but they were posters printed with his name on it.
Like it was almost an 11th hour decision not to credit him?
Screenplay by Graham Yost and Joss Whedon, and then it was changed in the 11th hour, yeah.
I mean, there are some very Joss Whedon lines in the script. It's like driving a big Pinto. That seems like a very Joss line.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can we also, I mean, are we going chronologically through the storyline? I just want to say something else that's still, one thing that baffles me about Speed is when she hits the baby carriage. Is what you guys call, we call it a pram.
A pram, yeah.
Why is there cans in it?
It's cans.
Who is this woman?
It's recycling.
Oh, is that what she's doing? She's using a baby stroller?
Right.
Like
I think that she needs to get all of these cans from point A to point B, and
I think she's supposed to be
stroller.
Kind of, if not homeless, then just a poor person.
Oh.
Collecting the recyclables, and all she has is a stroller.
She's getting the
but that's the gag of it. Is
she's
that
getting the
normal person would. People typically, like homeless people, usually use like a shopping cart they stole from a grocery store. Right?
It's a really fun moment to watch on YouTube.
Unhoused.
If you find those. If you find those, thank you for correcting that
myself.
If you find those YouTubers that the first time watching a movie, and you look at Speed, go to that moment to see their reaction because. And I don't remember my reaction when I first saw it, but there's a lot of really crazy reactions when that baby carriage gets hit.
Right.
And it's kind of fun. And I think it would make a great compilation video of just reactions to the baby carriage being hit.
I mean, it's definitely one of those moments that when you're seeing this movie opening night at the Man's Chinese with everyone, that everybody gasps when the baby carriage gets hit.
The thing is, if you're at all movie literate, you know they're not going to run over a baby this early in the movie, so it's got to be something. But it is still shocking, right?
Yeah.
This is also a moment that some friends of mine and I used to perfect our Keanu Reeves impression.
Fuck me.
It's just cans. It's cans.
Bless him. He's got such a beautiful voice.
He does. Very imitatable, but I never minded it. But I don't know if that's just because
it just adds to the charm.
I just love him and
I'm gonna rip your fucking spine out, I swear to God.
And that's another thing. Seeing him be so like this,
delivering all of these lines so sincerely, I love it.
Right.
Yeah. Did you guys see this in the big screen when it came out?
I did not see this.
So it was a video rental? Or
This was always a video rental for me.
It was the very, I think, we had a movie guarantee of it, Video Easy. I think the Interview with the Vampire was their first one, and I think and Speed as well. Like, they had so many copies you rented it first time. It was free.
Video guarantee? Is that like a chain of...
No.
Video Easy is the
Video
chain.
Easy, okay.
Yeah, but like
sure.
I could actually sing the little jingle if you want, but... that's so many. It was the first time I went to my video store, and it was like 200 copies of Keanu's face on
the guarantee is like we're going to have it this Friday. Yeah,
while in the video store, and it's all copies of Speed or Interview with the Vampire. I love that.
Yeah,
no,
but there's other new releases are there. But it's just, those are the two movies that they offer a guarantee on that you're going to rent it when you want it. You're not going to miss out.
Yeah.
But my parents went to see it at the big screen with two friends of theirs, but it was sold out. I remember they came home, and I wanted to know if it was good, and they were going to see something else, and Mum's friend said, "No, I wanted to see Speed," so they just went out and had drinks or something. But I had a friend that saw it and wouldn't shut up about it. So when it came on video, I rented it the weekend it came out.
I was at a cousin's house. I feel like I don't know what it was for, a holiday or something. We were just there hanging out, and I was just hanging out with my cousins. We were just in their room or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, they're putting the movie on," and we're like, we're not going to watch the movie. We're teenagers. We're going to like hang out and do teenage."
And you're like, fuck me, you're watching Speed?
Hood rat shit. And then like I went out and I was like, oh, it's Speed. Maybe we will watch.
Maybe we'll watch this.
And we sat down and we all watched it.
There's
we were
Keanu hanging from a wire.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll watch this.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch the whole thing. Yeah. But I didn't get to see it.
I want to talk a little bit about the character of Annie, played by Sandra Bullock. That we are introduced to Annie catching up to Sam, the bus driver. Sam.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Annie's license is suspended because she's gotten so many speeding.
I love how she delivers that line of that. I should probably tell you that my license is suspended. What for? Speeding.
Yeah.
She's so sweet when she says it too. Yeah.
So the Hollywood laundry list casting list for Annie is interesting because I would imagine that every major A-list actress was attached to this movie at some point, or it came around their desk as a read the script or an offer. Can you talk about any of the actresses that were considered?
I don't know. I know one specific because it was so close. Now you can fill in some blanks, and it's actually they've talked about it on TV together. It was supposed to I think the thing is for me, if I'm curious to hear your list because I don't know at the time if huge A-list actresses would have done a movie second to Keanu.
That's what I'm thinking.
Unless it was a bigger actor than Keanu in the role because the movie star hierarchy at the time. But I do know that she screen tested, she read for it, and she pretty much had it in the bag, was Ellen DeGeneres.
So interesting. You told us that last time we saw you.
And they talked about it on the Ellen show. Sandra Bullock and Ellen talked about it. It's on YouTube. And I'd heard about that for the longest time. And it was supposed to be really going for a kind of Goldie Hawn and like Bird on a Wire, Jewel of the Nile, kind of really comedic. And I just can't see that. I can't imagine what that would have been like.
Even going for more of a comedic angle, they're still going to want to ultimately have a romance in there.
Well, yeah.
But
she wasn't out then.
Yeah.
So it's like, she was doing she that Mr. Wrong with Bill
Keanu
Pullman,
Keanu can't end up with Ellen.
Can you imagine?
No.
I almost it's like we were talking about the Jan DeBont and Spielberg swapping projects, The Minority Report and Haunting. I want a Sliding Doors universe where this version of Speed exists with Ellen. Just so I can see it.
Oh my god!
I want to see that performance.
I mean, I definitely want to see the Sliding Doors universe of Spielberg directs The Haunting and Jan DeBont directs Minority Report.
Yeah, because
I feel like Jan DeBont's fingerprints are all over a movie like Minority Report.
Yeah.
But I just feel like having Ellen in romantic.
Can you imagine the
roles-
wisecracks of Ellen driving the bus and all that? Like every single oh my gosh.
Yeah, she wouldn't have played the Cans. scenario. So
I mean,
I can see the performance. It's
almost
like
like
fantasizing about this Ellen DeGeneres performance. That
I mean,
never
this
happened
just
now.
turns into a Mad TV sketch in
That's
my
what
brain.
I mean. It feels like Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah,
It feels,
yeah.
In fact, like,
I'm not gonna attempt an Ellen impression.
I mean, I can't. I can't even in an action role like driving the. Oh God! Or the end with the. Like when she has to get on the thing and the what is the little
The door
under the
and
bus and
sliding,
escape with Keanu, or on the train at the end and they're just making out.
Yeah,
on
just
Hollywood
like hugging
Boulevard.
him. She just like shakes his hand and like
all right,
pats him on the shoulder.
Give me the other option.
So
but
I'm
Ellen
seeing
was a close one.
The other options were Kim Basinger, offered it and declined. Meryl Streep, which, to be fair, I feel like Meryl Streep was probably getting offered pretty much everything at the time.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I did see that she declined. I'd always heard stories of Michelle Pfeiffer.
okay, could Meryl? It would have been like. Sorry, all right. I need to get. I'm literally replaying this movie
But now
now every episode.
Keanu, that I don't know about that.
Only if Meryl could have been like her younger version of Miranda Priestley driving the bus. That would be amazing.
So Michelle Pfeiffer, that I always heard stories of executives vetoing the casting of Michelle because they didn't believe somebody that beautiful would be riding Los Angeles public transportation.
But I just said I ride the bus to work.
I know.
Wow.
So, and then I did read Halle Berry turned it down.
Oh, wow.
And she said it would not have done for me what it did for Sandra Bullock.
Oh, girl, yes, it
I
would
would have
have.
been
Yes,
the
it would
black
have.
bus driver.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So
Well-
she says that she's ultimately kind of happy that it did end up going to Sandy. And
I mean, yeah. And I, aside from that, that comment, which I understand her comment, she would have killed the role.
She would have been
really
so good.
She would have been really good.
She would have been
But I understand.
so
I understand
good.
her reasoning, and yeah, good
Right.
for her. That's
I mean,
that
she was
makes
in the
sense, but yeah.
Flintstones as Sharon Stone.
Oh, girl, Mama, I need to tell. I forgot. I haven't even told you. You were at work the other day, and I was Sunday, and I was like, I'm bored, and so I put on Boomerang. And Boomerang,
How does that hold up?
How does it doesn't? Hang on. All right,
We've been going through a big
I
Eddie
have a very
Yeah.
early memory that disturbed me.
Yeah.
And
We should
I
not
need
have
to
watched
know
that
if it's
movie as
real.
kids.
Does Eartha Kitt rub her panties on Eddie Murphy's face or someone's face or
It's Grace Jones.
Grace Jones?
Eartha
Okay.
Kitt does like a little strip tease, and she's wearing a very modest kind of like teddy.
So I was
but
very, very
Grace
young.
Jones pulls
And
her
I
panties
remember
off and
my
throws
brother
them.
was. That's right. I remember I was watching it and Steel Vagina. Isn't that the name of the perfume
that's
or
the name of-
something?
She wants it to be called
The
Steel,
Steel Vagina.
Yes.
I was watching it with my brother. I had no idea what was happening, and I was like, "It was." I need to revisit.
My
it,
older
actually.
sister and I saw it in the theater, and we laughed our ever-loving asses off in the theater at Boomerang. But Halle Berry is in it. Very young Halle Berry, very early in her career. And let me tell you what, contouring the face had not really been a thing at that time. She is very over-powdered, but she still looks like so beautiful. And she's playing like not the homely girl, but she's playing the more like kind of nerdy-ish character, because Robin Givens is like the bombshell in the movie. And you're like, Halle Berry is the one that they hand off to David Alan Grier in Boomerang.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where she was in her career. And I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Halle Berry, man. But I think it holds up fairly well. I mean, there's some misogynistic stuff, but the whole idea in the movie is that Eddie Murphy's character kind of gets it turned around. And
We've been revisiting a lot of the
adding Boomerang
Eddie
to my
Murphy catalog.
visit list, so I need to clear the imagery that's in my head, so I know what's real and what's not.
Yeah. What you made up. Yeah. We watched Axel Foley, so we decided to watch all the Beverly Hills Cop
Pete,
movies.
this was Beverly Hills Cop 3 was in the top 10 the week that Speed came out.
Get right out of town.
Yeah.
Well, this movie's better.
Very interesting of just kind of the
This movie's better.
directions that action movies were going at that time.
Was there anyone else that was in Sandy's other than Halle Berry, those other actresses?
I read Kim Basinger, Meryl Streep,
Those are so
Michelle
weird.
Pfeiffer, and then I think Halle Berry was the big name.
Was Keanu the always
Why doesn't
the
it
one
mention
that
Ellen? They
Yeah.
talk, like it's real. I know it's real.
No, I think
Yeah.
when Beth Grant did The Office Ladies podcast. I think she's talked about it there too.
Yeah.
Because the Office Ladies, Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey, had Beth Grant on to talk about the dinner party episode. Famous dinner party episode, one of the funniest Office episodes. And she's in that. She's Dwight's nanny / lover. So they have her on ostensibly to talk about it, and that's how they got the producers to like book her. But they're like, Beth, we just want to talk about Speed. And she's like, sweet, let's do it. So they spent the hour talking about Speed.
And she mentioned that they cut a lot.
She talked about the original script. That was very different.
Yes. Yeah, Joss Whedon was rewriting it as they went.
Right.
I think that's probably why Fox thought, well, it worked for Speed, so let's rewrite Speed 2 as we go along too. And,
yeah. But there was a whole situation with all of the characters on the bus kind of being more fleshed out, having more things to do. Her character having a lot more things to do. Her character not getting exploded when she did, And so when
such a good moment.
It is a great moment. It's really good.
It's like that thing they're talking about the grit. You need to have those moments because obviously it's ludicrous.
It raises the stakes.
You have to raise the stakes, and you have to. So she gets enough screen time, and you get her as this kind of nervous, jittery.
Right.
All we need, is that backstory that she gets tense driving, so now she gets to relax on the way to work, and automatically you put her in a certain category, and you have a certain level of empathy for her, even though she's annoying to an extent. But it's like, so when she goes under the bus, it's such a powerful moment, and you could. I remember even when it played at Fox, at the moment, like everyone was just dead quiet, and it plays really well.
Yeah.
The music and everything, it's a strong moment.
Because you're right, Beth Grant can easily go annoying. Right, she's just has
Donnie Darko.
a shrill voice, Donnie Darko, and she plays it up for comedy, and she does it really well.
But there's a way,
the nosy neighbor.
But there's a way that Beth plays these characters. That I don't know. There's some depth to her,
right,
in all of these roles.
Well,
too.
but it's also like the woman in the elevator that doesn't want to get off, because that elevator is going to chop me in half.
Yeah, that to me is more the most disturbing thing in the whole movie in terms of my own fears. Is like when they're getting off the elevator and it's starting to move
going
down
further and further down.
So it's like if someone's going to get cut in half, and I think that's I would rather blow up on the bus, or fall to my on that elevator, And
Keanu's like, "Come over here," and then finally he's just
come on, come on,
You're like, okay.
I told Pete at my job. Back in the day, before they repaired the elevator, that our freight elevators would break all the time. That you could be bringing up pallets upstairs, and you could just be trapped there.
But would people be trapped in them for extended periods of time?
I don't think it would be extended periods of time, but we definitely have had customers stuck in the elevator. That's like right next to our entrance. So it did happen at one point. Yep.
That's why I always went up to the roof. I never parked at the bottom. Why? Are
you walking up?
Yeah, or I'm taking the stairs. Trapped in an elevator. No, thank you.
That's why whenever you went downstairs in our freight elevators, that you always had to remember to bring your cell phone.
Jesus.
Because you could potentially be stuck in the elevator.
Sure.
Yep.
And like a week's worth of food and water. And a bucket.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to be breaking into all the grocery pallets.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Jeff Daniels and Dennis Hopper.
Yes, let's.
And Joe Morton.
Yeah, some really great supporting performances in this movie. Okay, so Dennis Hopper always gets it. Like, Dennis Hopper's insane delivery.
Fresh off Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, he is operating at a 11.
He's killing it in my villain world.
Yeah.
13 and 14-year-old self.
Whenever I see Dennis Hopper in roles like this, my brain always goes to kind of classic Hollywood. And where were we first introduced to an actor like Dennis Hopper? That Dennis Hopper is in the James Dean movie Giant when he was very young.
Yeah.
And I was looking up, they are 5 years apart in age, so they're contemporaries. Yep. And my brain
so
just
is Dennis Hopper younger than James Dean?
Okay. Yeah, so James Dean, I think, was born in
Giant.
I think James Dean was probably born around like 31.
Okay. Have you guys seen Giant?
I have seen Giant.
I have not.
It's great. It's just very, very long.
It's long. Just create your own interval.
Okay.
You probably had an intermission when it came out. Create your own intermission. It's such a beautiful film, but he's great at Dennis
But my
Hopper.
brain always goes to, okay, alternate sliding doors universe. James Dean does not die in his car, The Little Bastard. Do we get James Dean in roles like this in the 90s as he gets older?
I think he would have gone more like doing Robert Redford kind of roles, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Sure,
But
yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking of, does James Dean get like kind of follow Dennis Hopper's career path and start working with people like David Lynch?
Right.
in
I
the
could see him
80s.
doing that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So then I just kind of think in my brain, what would a James Dean in his, I guess he would have been mid to late 60s in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of thinking like, could I see him as the villain of a 90s action movie? And I totally could.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially given this
Yes.
performance. Do you know that I probably was a grown-ass adult when I was like, oh, look, they gave Dennis Hopper like a mangled old makeup hand. From like, I never noticed that he was like all scarred up. It was probably because I didn't see it on the big screen the first few times. But I was like an adult going, how about that? I forgot his whole gig is that he was like in, you know, in an accident or something.
He was a cop on disability,
exploded,
right?
Yeah. Lost some fingers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. His performance is crazy, but what you know?
I mean,
you need it.
Pop
You need
Quiz,
it.
that was a big
Pop
line
Quiz
from
Hot
the
Shot.
90s. Pop Quiz Hot Shot.
Pop Quiz Hot Shot.
Yep.
You know, Jeff Daniels. He's one of those ones that, like, we've had this conversation. We talked in terms of endearment. Young Jeff Daniels
Can get it.
great looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's like, all right, now it's like Dad Jeff Daniels. He's like, you know.
This was the
He's
same,
good in this, too.
This was the
Like-
same year as Dumb and Dumber 2.
Wow.
It sure is.
That's some range right there. Yep.
good year for him.
yeah,
Wow.
it sure is. It's the same year.
Wow. He's the way that they also like with his performance, like his storyline of trying to find Dennis Hopper in the back end, like,
Right.
It's so well handled. Actually, breaks up the action and it kind of creates his own storyline, his own arc for him.
Yeah.
And I think the audience as well, kind of like with Beth Grant, really kind of mourns when he gets he gets his.
You know, when there's
moment.
when there's a few like when there's a good gap in between viewings of this,
You forget that he dies.
I forget that they blow up Jeff Daniels in this movie.
It's brutal too. Like
And-
it's so and they had that moment. Like it doesn't. I think there's some really good use of just the actors that you have in that. I think, and you know, they could have easily just had the beep time and just blow it up, but they
Right.
show his facial expression and they show those moments that you have, like Beth Grant reaching for the guy. I think that's again creates they show the humanity of the characters, which again, ludicrous plot aside, it keeps it together. It keeps you
Right.
on board.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
And that last scene, it's borrowing a little from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
With the fake out house.
Yeah, totally.
The fake out location. And
Oh,
the
I
way
never
it's
thought of
edited
that.
together, that it's
Okay.
like we as the audience see them here, but then
Yeah, I can
we
see
also
that.
see that it's not the right place.
Yeah.
It's not a complete lift, but it's
Yeah,
you know,
that tracks.
yeah. There was also a moment at the beginning of this movie where
elevator scene?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
you know when there's the whole elevator situation, they look down in the elevator, and I was like, "What happened to the dead body on the top of the elevator car?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Silence of the Lambs. That's another scene."
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
when he
right.
leaves the body up there and it's
Yeah,
bleeding
yeah.
and all that. I was like, "Oh, wait, different cops in an elevator movie."
Well, one thing the train sequence at the end, we took back to Dennis for a second. He's so pissed when the money gets whatever you call it, paintballs. Like, can we? I always the one part of the movie where I'm just like, I don't know if this. I could see Dennis crawling on top of that train and
Right.
facing off with Keanu like
Yeah.
that. I just this comes out of nowhere like a beast and just I always watch it. I'm like, the fight's convincing, but I'm like, you're on the roof of a train. I just don't.
Moving
train,
in the sub. No.
But I love his death. His death is so cool, and
I'm taller. What does he say?
yeah. Well, I'm taller. Yeah, and then she says, "Where's Payne?" Like he lost his head.
He lost his head. Oh,
That's another Joss Whedon line. Yeah,
I mean, Keanu delivers the shit
but the
out
way
of those
the
lines.
way the head kind of snaps off and there's like skin flap that kind of keeps it attached to the body is so like. I don't know whoever thought of that, like it's a prosthetic and that, but it just looks so effective and it still
Right,
holds
yeah.
up today. Like it's kind of, you cringe. It's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gross. But I forgot about that. Lost his head. Yeah, no, he plays it really well, but there's a lot of really fun stuff that me and my friends as teenagers, we were just like, all the whole thing with like looping the video footage and and him watching and the Wildcat and all that stuff. Yeah. We were just like, oh, this is so cool.
His reaction, because it's using modern day tech and everything all at that time and it's like it really kind of like, oh, that's cool. But Dennis's reaction when he realizes that the tape's fucked with, it's almost like he's biting his fingers off, but he doesn't do it. But he's like this kind of like, like it's so good. Yes. And I don't know if any other actor could make that work. And it's just like his rage in the movie is very real. It's and that's again a side of a good villain. And I think again the movie with its grit, the very opening scene after the big long elevator opening title sequence, the guy, the security guy gets a screwdriver in the side of his head. Like that's the first thing that happens in the movie, and it's such the setup. And again, it just again sets up the stakes that this person is not to be fucked with. Right. And I think that to its credit, he's really good. Dennis and Jeff, and also Joe Morton too, but he's fantastic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. There's just some great stuff in there. When oh gosh, I had a moment that I was going to talk about. Well, we'll keep going. And I'll loop back to it if I remember. Was the video camera? I'll think about it.
But I mean, it did give Homer the idea on The Simpsons from the movie called The Bus That Would Not Slow Down.
He calls it out, doesn't he? And he says it was
the
about
bus that would not slow down.
The bus that couldn't slow down.
He does this with his fingers. If it's speed,
and isn't it footage of them from like the 70s?
Was called The Bus That couldn't slow down.
Yeah,
isn't it footage of them at the power plant working in the 70s?
They're wearing
and Lenny has like an afro.
Lenny has an afro, and Carl is wearing a Happy Days T-shirt that says "Sit on it."
There's also a reverse reference as if Speed 2 in The Simpsons with Milhouse, as if Speed 2 was the first film, and there's a problem in the bus, and Milhouse goes, "Wow, it's just like that movie Speed 2, but on a bus instead of a boat." I thought that was very cool
clever.
too.
That's clever. I love that. Didn't Dennis Hopper's like house or like his setup? He had like a lair, like all the TVs and stuff. I know what I was going to talk about. But we talk about that in a second too. But when he makes this mandate of like, okay, we can get shot, bleeding out Sam, get him off the bus, that's fine. Yeah. But anybody else gets off.
Not even that wildcat
behind the wheel.
Behind the wheel.
And then Beth Grant, steps off and he explodes. And he says,
"Damn it, Beth Grant." Helen, sorry, her name's Helen. Her character's Helen.
And he says, "Interactive TV, Jack. It's a wave of the future."
Yeah, and he does the eyebrow lift. Yeah. Yep. And in fact, on the TV spot, I remember that was when it goes, and Dennis Hopper, and it would do the eyebrow lift. That's all we got. Okay. It would like be Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and you do his eyebrow lift. I'm like, dude, that's like, he couldn't, again, no one else could pull that off.
Right. Mm-hmm. But this is the very, very, very early days of home internet. Yeah. Home computers, PCs, and these ideas were coming around of like, what is cable TV going to be in the future, and interactive television. And you'll be able to watch a show and you can like decide like the ending. It's like, all right, girl, like calm down. Like there's that one episode of like Black Mirror, but really that's but interactive TV was this like buzzy kind of like concept that was floating around.
Is that another Joss Whedon line, do you think?
Probably. Yeah. It's the wave of the future. Yeah. And I mean,
and Sandra Bullock did The Net after this too.
Right?
Oh,
so I love The Net.
It's we're
so stupid.
We're big fans of The Net.
We are
so
all
stupid.
Not Angela Bennett. Just want to make that clear.
I mean, come on, who is? We're about to order pizza from pizza.net.
I remember watching The Net when I was a kid and seeing her order the pizza on the internet. That I was like, that is never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember
you could order a pizza on your computer.
I remember the early commercials for like Fandango, and like you'd be in the movie theater and there would be commercials with the bags.
Yep.
And like order your movie ticket online at home. And I'd be like, why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah.
Like,
do you want to know the first movie that I bought a movie ticket from Fandango that I bought it before the fact? It was Twilight New Moon.
Oh,
God.
you remember.
That I knew that it was going to be a madhouse
Sure.
at the
Oh,
box
sure,
office,
sure.
so I bought
Yeah.
it before.
But it's
Do you
like,
remember when it was a madhouse at the box office? Do you remember what that was like? Because I miss those days.
Now that
hey,
I mean,
no,
even,
we went for the last Spider-Man movie.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
even
yeah.
with choosing your own seat and all that shit, it was fucking crazy. It was like the last day of school. Like there were teenagers.
Right.
But I also feel like
jumping
that
from the
was,
rafters.
that was at that
Last 2
point.
years.
Yeah.
That was at that point of COVID where
It
that
was.
really the
We
first.
were back, baby.
That was
Yeah.
kind of the first movie that got people
Yeah.
out of their houses.
Yes, yeah.
So I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah, but things like that at the time, interactive TV, like how are we going to like use the internet in the future? And to an extent, on-demand television is kind of where that went instead of like interactive.
Yeah.
But
There's some really great moments with Sandra Bullock in this movie that kind of get me. That really kind of sets the pace for her career and where it would go. That I mean, it's no surprise that under 20 years later, she ends up winning an Oscar. I mean, I guess it's at the end of the 2009. There are 3 moments in this movie. It's where she hits the cans and she's like crying because she thinks that she hit a child.
Right. Yeah.
That moment, the second moment where Beth Grant meets her demise when the bomb goes off.
Right, right.
And she
Yeah.
has that very complicated emotional moment with Keanu.
Yeah.
Where it's just like that she's crying because she's relieved that she's still alive, that when she saw Beth Grant's body, when she saw the character of Helen is the one that ends up going below the bus, that she has this like sigh of relief that
It wasn't the whole bus
blow
blowing
up.
up.
Yeah.
Like these are very complicated emotions for
Yes.
for like an action movie that usually stuff like this isn't really called for its actresses to do in a movie like this. But Sandy just kind of brings it to this whole other level that it kind of sets it into a real world. Also, the part that still gets me to this day at the end of the movie where she's handcuffed to the pole and she says, all right, Jack,
uncuff me and I'll go with you,
and I'll go with you. And Jack realizes that he doesn't have the key.
Yeah.
That Dennis Hopper, he put it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And he's dead.
Yeah.
And Sandra's performance is so good in that
Yeah,
scene.
and it looks like it really hurts too when they're
Yeah.
setting up
Oh,
the
yeah.
cuffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's
yeah.
like it's interesting because if you're right, those 3 moments, and then peppered in there are moments of she's got the comedic timing down too.
Yeah.
So and then she's got the romantic lead thing down too, and they even like giving her that last line in the movie, which is we'll have to base it on sex. Then, like I think that it really just like it's a fully fledged like. Movie star performance. You get to do all the things, and she does get to have the dramatic moments.
Yeah.
And so that's why she could do movies by like The Net and While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah.
And,
And I'm just kind of thinking of other action movies prior to this. It's like whenever you think of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and you think of all of these great actresses that would be acting alongside Arnold, they're never given this much to do as
until Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sure,
really
which
Sandy's
is the same
given.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think True Lies was the first Arnie movie where he had another actor credited on before the title with him.
Okay,
Yeah. And he, I think that Jamie's team didn't ask for that. He asked for that. He said it's fair. It's the right thing to do. So, but I think it was like a new kind of era of like we'd had like in the 92, 93, we'd seen like some really, we talked about this during Sliver too, but like these really kind of strong female performances and that. But I think that this was, starting to take them to another level when it comes to action films.
Yeah, like they just don't need to be the girl in an action movie. You can give them more to do.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it was always her comedic timing that really got it, and it's like that's why I kind of really love somebody. I mean, it's getting cliche, but it's like when you think about like Meryl, right? It's like when she does do comedy, it works. It works really well. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of dramatic actresses that maybe aren't so great in comedies. Right? I don't know. I'm not going to name too many names, but I feel like when Keanu's like, "All right, up there, you're gonna turn," and she's like, "Where?" He's like, "Right there. There's a turn." She said, "That is a dead end."
That is a dead
Like,
end.
I love that
Yep.
delivery. I love that she's just like, "No, that is a fucking dead end." Like, she just. And I've said this a million times on this show.
We're going to tip over. She's the one that also tells him. And he's like,
she tells him,
and he's like,
goes,
you're right. We're going to tip over.
He goes, no, we're not. Yes, we are. You're right. Yeah. I I've said this so many times. When I first saw her in Demolition Man, I was like, "Yeah, what do I know? Where do I know this girl from? Like, she's so great. I love her. Why? I love her. What do I love her from? Nothing. I don't know.
Girl Next Door.
Anything.
That's the thing. She
just has this quality that you just are like, yes, I'm along with you
It's
for
that
this
movie
ride.
star power. Yep.
But it's something different than just like movies. It's like Nicole Kidman doesn't have that. They don't have the same thing where you're just like,
I guess it's different.
I know you, and I feel like I have this relationship with you that goes back where.
Do you know a short-lived sitcom that Sandy was in? Have you heard?
Working Girl?
Yeah, you know about this. And Nana Visitor, who was Major Kira from Deep Space Nine, was in the Sigourney Weaver role. And I've seen some episodes.
I think they're on YouTube, right?
No, actually,
okay.
I watched them through the Fox Cloud archive. I could sometimes stream, and I was like, I'm curious. I watched the pilot and I watched the second episode. It's actually pretty funny, and Sandra was good in it, and it was definitely like that '90s sitcom comedy,
right,
and style, and a lot of canned laughter. And,
sure, So it's such an interesting casting choice because I feel like so much of Melanie Griffith's character in that movie was the look, right? And Sandra Bullock is the complete opposite.
Yeah,
straight dark hair.
Yeah,
very interesting. Never seen it. Where are we going?
I was going to say, it's kind of interesting that Sandy didn't end up breaking on TV. Yeah. That this is the type of personality that does end up anchoring a show on must-see television.
Friends type thing, and but like she lucked it out. She became a movie star. So
speaking of must-see television, and this movie, and Sandra, and Jan DeBont, we kind of talked a little bit about his bringing in certain cast members and maybe him remembering people and all that. Do we think that at some point Jan DeBont says, "Hey, I got this tornado movie. You want in on the ground floor,
Sandy? It's yours if you want it."
I heard for Dr. Joe Harding.
I heard that. There's a new doco with Jan on the 4K of Twister. He said that Helen was his first choice,
which I can totally see.
And he said that him and and she didn't want to do it, and it was Spielberg that forced her to do it. Spielberg got her to come to a lunch meeting and convinced her that she didn't know what she offered, but he said, I need a human story and everything. And then Tom Hanks was supposed to be
right.
We read that.
And Bill Paxton, he's the one that recommended Bill Paxton for the role.
Sure.
So
they knew each other from Apollo 13.
Yeah, he didn't mention. I as far as we know that it was all Helen Hunt, but
okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine that Sandra was getting to that point in the mid-'90s that she was years booked out.
Yeah.
That she had always probably been contracted that she was going to be in the Speed sequel.
They weren't contracted.
Oh, they weren't?
They weren't. Only Jan was contracted.
That he was going to be doing something with
three
Fox.
pictures. Okay. There are three Speed sequel. If it's a sequel, he had to do it. But the lead actors did not get contracted, so Fox really threw down money to get Keanu and Sandy back. And Keanu wanted to see a script, and he was interested. She was interested. They wanted to work together again, but the script didn't come together. And contrary to popular opinion, Keanu did not do Speed 2 to go and do his tour with his band. He went to shoot Devil's Advocate, which shot at the same time as Speed 2.
Oh, sure.
And then they got Jason Patrick, and Jason was also not easy to get either. He turned down more roles than he worked. He was more than happy not to work. And Joel Schumacher's talked about Jason Patrick in his last interview a lot. But Jason was promised certain rewrites. Sandy had liked him in one of his films. I can't remember which one. And they screen tested, did it. But, Jason Patrick, when he got to the set, none of the rewrites had happened. And
sure.
Yeah, but he had to do all his own stunts. And
I would imagine that I'd always heard a big part of the reason why Sandy signed on to Speed 2 Cruise Control was to make Hope Floats.
That's correct. Yeah. I think she got like $7 million to do Speed 2, and then she also got $20 million for her production company to do Hope Floats directly afterwards. And she'd been shopping it around for a while. And the irony is that Hope Floats made more money at the US box office than Speed 2. Speed 2 did okay internationally. It wasn't as much of a disaster as it was here, but Hope Floats ended up becoming a much more successful film and also kind of redeemed her because of the sequel.
Sure.
She carried, I mean, it's a lot of weight to carry. A movie like, well, Speed or Speed 2, but especially Speed 2 when it's a sequel to a beloved film, you've lost your lead actor and it cost $150 million. Mm-hmm. So,
Jan DeBont has not worked since Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
He's retired
of Life. Yeah, he retired after that movie. Yeah. And I remember as they were making that there were stories of they were really filming that movie without a script. And it turned out better than the first one. Isn't that the consensus, or it's not? I feel like the first one's better.
Is it interesting?
I mean, I think that they're both kind of messes, but I would say the first Tomb Raider is better.
I can't remember really either. They kind of just blur in. I mean, I would watch the sequel just to see if Jan's staple is on it. Like, I feel like now that I've seen so many of his films that he directed in such close proximity in the last few months, he definitely has a style and a tone, and it's action style over substance. Speed's just a one-off, But I don't know. I feel like that he probably had been, it's hard to recover from something like Speed 2. His name was all over it. At the top of the poster, it said, from the director of Speed and Twister. That's the first thing that came up on the trailer. It says, has the UB40 song. It says from the director of it, says, first he took you on a bus ride, then a spin in the country, and then it has a Twister. And then so everything was on that movie. And then it was such a disaster. He got The Haunting just because Twister still was he was in
he was still in tight with Amblin at the time.
But you'll notice that Spielberg's EP credit is not on The Haunting, and DeBont's is on Minority Report, but Spielberg took his name off The Haunting, and again, like, you get these films are beautiful to look at. They're well shot. They sound good. They look good. He gets good performances from his actors. I just think his problem is he just cannot seem to recognize the importance of having a script in place. And after something like Speed 2, he really needed to have another slam dunk like Speed or Twister again. Sure. And that is going to come to, I would not have shot a single frame of anything until I knew I had a slam dunk script.
For sure.
But I mean, he's also, we've said he's still considered one of the best cinematographers ever.
Yeah, I mean, directing was kind of a second career for him. That he had an entire legacy of work behind the camera. And I think that's what something like Speed really needs, is that this movie needed to be directed by someone that really knows how to film action movies.
Yeah.
I was watching a little bit of the behind-the-scene bonus materials on our digital copy, and they talk about filming this movie in all of the buses, that there was probably like 7 picture buses, that there was the stunt buses that they could jump and like tip and crash into things. There was the Pope Mobile bus that didn't have a windshield, that they could get all of the coverage inside. They talk about having all of the camera crew have to walk around this bus with all of these actors in it, that I think it looks pretty seamless when you watch it now.
Yeah. It's got such he definitely has a realism to it, and it's like, no matter how ludicrous it is, like even Twister, rewatching that, I was surprised by how real the scene with the drive-in theater and everything, and just the build up to that, and all the signs and the carnage and everything. It's like
I love that. I love that drive-in Twister set. I think it's so cool.
So cool. Like, and he definitely does that, and I think that's on all of his films. And he doesn't. The house in The Haunting, I think there's a point. There's so much CG in that film, but I think that there's a part where spikes come down on the bed, like where Lily Taylor's there, and they're all real,
kind of like a spider.
They're all real. Those spikes and everything, and like they miss her.
You know what?
But, like, it's, and then again, Speed 2, he built a replica of the cruise ship and built a town. On top of the beach, and drove the cruise ship replica into the town. Like it's like it's that's still in the Guinness Book of Records for the biggest stunt ever filmed. Speed 2. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I should probably save this if we ever do a haunting episode, because I feel like we could totally do an
Easily,
episode on the
yeah.
haunting.
I could do the haunting.
That I remember
just for Owen Wilson's head popping off.
God. So I remember going to the haunting by myself when I was like 14 years old, and I chose to go to the haunting over the Sixth Sense.
Oh wow!
That I feel like the gay kids were probably going to go to the theater showing the haunting. Over the Sixth
Well, it
Sense.
just had a glossier poster.
Yeah,
too.
it was just a little more appealing for me when I was
poster.
when I was 14 years old.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know there might have been a delay because our release dates were so different. We'd sometimes have to wait a year for a movie in Australia, but
Sure.
I just remember The Haunting came out close to House on Haunted Hill with Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen.
Oh, so it was a fall movie.
And so we saw them a month apart in Australia, and everyone was unanimous. Also, because Jeffrey Rush is Australian, and I still would say this. I think The House on Haunted Hill is a much superior film.
Okay.
And does
See,
the horror
House on
film.
Haunted Hill is a movie that I want to love a lot more.
Oh, really?
Like, I want to be
that
more.
Chris Kattan?
I want to be more into it.
Jeffrey Combs is the doctor,
Jeffrey.
and he's like walking
Yeah,
backwards with the
Famke
knife.
Jensen.
Yeah.
I love Famke Jensen. She's doing some fine work in The House on Haunted Hill, but I just can't get into it.
Oh God, yeah. I still. I mean, there's no question though. I mean, that director of House on Haunted Hill, he went and did Fear.com afterwards, and that. But The Haunting is definitely slicker and by far, and yeah.
House on Haunted Hill is wild. It's got that that's the one that has the theme park, the roller coaster.
Yes, and the tracks and the carriage
scenes.
goes up. Yeah,
The first scenes in the amusement park.
The guy from Buffy is on it. The guy for Spike, he's on there. He's the guy riding the roller coaster.
Okay.
But I think. Look, I would say to anyone listening, look at the films that Jan DeBont shot. I would say that I think Flatliners and Basic Instinct are my two favorites of his that he'd shot. Just from cinematography perspective, but even his films as a director, they're not by any means boring or hard to get through. They're just not great because of the screenplays, But he definitely has. They're slick. They're really well packaged. They sound good. They look good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's just something about these action movies from the 90s that when you just Google action movies from the 90s, what comes up? Just kind of this golden age of all of these banger action movies that made a lot of money. We mentioned True Lies. This is when they rebooted James Bond and GoldenEye. The Jackal, The Rock, The Fugitive. The Fugitive that just ends up in Best Picture.
Yes.
Like, it gets a Best Picture nomination. Armageddon in the later half of the 90s. I mean, this is when John Woo made his big American crossover and made stuff like
Face Off,
and I think that he did Broken Arrow.
Yes, remember Con Air?
Con Air. Yeah. So it's just like this.
I'm getting so excited.
And I feel like this era of
Air on the
Hollywood blockbusters, it's just like studios today wish that they could churn out all of these banger, sometimes original movies too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Con Air, I could remember just because Nick Cage was so fit in that. I never found him attractive, even with that gross hair.
Yeah,
I was like, somehow he's still really hot in this. It's just like
put down the bear.
That's right. Put the bunny.
It's the bunny.
Is it the bunny?
Yeah, it's the bunny. Mm-hmm.
I feel like isn't there a bunny in Silence of the Lamb? No, I know. Something in the basket. That's the.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting so confused now. All right.
It's okay.
Lotion.
It's okay. But no, I mean, a lot of these action movies then were like these iconic, huge movies. And I feel like a lot of times now we get these nowadays and they just kind of come and go.
They're soft.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on my...
No, but I mean...
Nothing hits anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit. And I will like... This is something else. Like, it feels like we're missing the fact that these movies felt like an event. Like, Speed... It felt like an event, and everyone was talking
an
about
event that kind of took audiences by surprise too.
Yeah. So that's why it had this energy behind it. And again, by the time it comes on video, everyone's waiting for it because you either missed it at the theater or you want to see it again. And again, they have a pop song with it, and it becomes this seasonal thing. The reason nothing hits anymore is because there's already something else coming down the pipeline. And I know from like my working with some of the studios and that, like, it's just almost like it just seems to me like, if it trends on Twitter for a weekend, that's enough. And it's like with that, again, I was talking with a friend of mine today who's a really successful actress, and she was talking about even just the production values and just the lack of attention to detail now, and And it's like, yeah, it's not. It's these Easter eggs that we find. We can even go back and rewatch Speed in 4K, and you can see more of the detail that you've never seen. It doesn't matter anymore because it's all just shot on digital. It can't even capture as much information as a film negative.
Right.
And even what was I watching? Doing some work on All of Us Strangers and for Criterion, and just the fact that they shot that on film and just it made everyone kind of step up. So because film costs more, and it's just like I feel like that we've definitely lost something, that things don't land the way that they used to because of the speed in which we're like consuming stuff.
Yeah,
now, you know?
I mean, we saw The Fall Guy.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
still
I
haven't seen
like
it
The
yet.
Fall Guy. One of those movies that if that were to have come out 15 years ago,
Yeah.
massive hit, and now nobody cares.
Yeah, see, I wanted to see it,
Yeah.
and then after 2 weeks, it was on digital, and I understand why if it doesn't, but like to me, it just cheapens the movie, and it is a movie that I want to see on the big screen. And some movies I used to, even since I've been living in LA for like 16 years. I would be week number 4, and I can still go to the movies to see it.
Yes.
And now it's gone, unless it's a huge hit. And it felt like the multiplexes were always just busy, and there was a group of people in every theater, even catching something that they've missed. And now we're just going to sit at home, and then I didn't end up seeing it and I still haven't watched it because I just don't want to watch it at home. And I didn't. I had these 2 busy weekends, and I was like, I want to see Fall Guy. It was also shot in Sydney, so I wanted to go see it. And,
I feel like it would have been much more of an experience to see it in the theater.
And,
It would have been more fun.
The Fall Guy has some very speed
elements,
action set pieces in it.
Yeah.
Like the big car chase scene with.
Well, the whole gag of the movie is that this is, these are stunties and this is what they do, so they're going to use that for to foil this caper.
I'm thinking of the big truck scene with Stephanie Shu.
That
reminded me of Speed a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, there's cars being launched off of things.
Is it practical
and all that.
or is it all CG?
I'm not sure.
I would assume that
think
a lot of it's practical.
It seemed like a lot of it was, but then there's stuff where they're having like punch outs being dragged. I don't know. Yeah. We'll say it's a hybrid. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, that's just kind of this perfect example of the situation where it's like, yeah, maybe at some point this would have been a bigger culturally. People would have talked about it more, and and the way even to wait to put it on VOD, then we would have been like, okay, now we can see it. Right now we're having this little moment where we're both getting ready to go on, trips, and we're just like planning out the podcast and Patreon and all that stuff. And Scott's just like, I really want to fucking see Longlegs, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see Longlegs. Well, big deal. Like, we'll get to it.
I mean, it had a pretty good opening weekend, so it'll be sticking around.
But also, there is this sense of urgency that it's like, well, we may not be able to see.
It's like
I went to see Horizon.
I was going to mention Horizon.
I went opening weekend. I was like, this is cool. I thought I saw like some mixed reviews. I was like, I like westerns, so I'm going to go see it. And I can appreciate that someone wants to put their own money in it, and that's the thing. Like we were talking earlier about. Jennifer Lopez before we started recording, but I don't understand this kind of wanting to see something fail, or because oh, how dare he put his own money and make a movie and release it? And I saw it where I live, and I was the only white guy in the audience, and it was on one of the smaller screens. It would have been about 30 of us at a matinee. Everyone was fucking captivated. And there were scenes in that movie, and I because I worked in test screenings for a while, I was looking at the audience, and people, their jaws were on the floor. People were literally tense, and it's so involving. It was so epic, and yes, it was long, but when it ended, everyone wanted more. Everyone clapped. I was ready for chapter 2, and I think that it's the biggest mistake because there's nothing happening in August post Deadpool, and Warner Brothers really had an opportunity to get some heat behind part 1 now on digital, and to get asses and really put part 2 is coming out in a month. Get people into the theater at the end of August to go see part 2, and apparently part 2 is so much more even action packed, and I just think they blinked, and like now they're like talking about selling it to Netflix or something, and like it's a movie that demanded to be seen on the big screen.
I think it's going to Max.
Oh God,
since it's Warner.
Well, I don't. Well, I think Warner will actually just sell the whole project,
just to try to recoup some losses from it.
I don't know how much Kevin Costner has clout in terms of getting it released or not, but like I think that it was asinine to pull it. I know it's expensive because I worked in distribute. I know it costs a lot to release a film, but I think that they had a real opportunity here if they actually marketed it properly, made part 1, really check this out. I can't imagine anyone watching that not wanting to go see part 2 on a big screen going, oh, this is cool.
So I caught Horizon last week that I bought my tickets the day that it was announced that they were pulling Chapter 2 off the August schedule. That I'm like, well, I'm glad that I bought my ticket now because in a week and a half, this will probably be in a fraction of the theaters that it's in now.
Yeah.
And I really liked it too.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies that it's incomplete to a fault that I don't even have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
Just because I need to see how it ends.
Yeah, I was like, I was just, every storyline was compelling, and there was a brutality again where I was like, I thought the stakes were so high. I liked the performances. It looked stunning. I think that it's a big mistake to have pulled. Again, on paper, the first one didn't make much money. So it's like, well, then instead, this is the problem today. It's like with The Fall Guy, for example. Oh, it failed. Throw it on digital. Let's just throw our hands up in the air. I mean, is anyone, including the people that work in the studios on the other side of distribution or in marketing, are we actually striving for excellence anymore, or are we just like doing this kind of ho-hum, dump it, and it's like, no, the challenge should be, how do we then use this part 1 now? We've got 6 weeks, and the August slate is super empty after it's nothing much in August.
I mean, they expect Deadpool and Wolverine's going to play through most of August.
Yeah, but that's one movie, and not everyone is into a comic book film.
Yeah, exactly.
I was one of, when I saw Horizon, it was people my age or older. So, my parents would not be interested in Deadpool and Wolverine. They had an opportunity here to make it an event by getting part 1 out as much as they can, and that's the challenge of it. But I just part of my experience over the last few years is just this lack of wanting to be excellent or wanting to make a bold swing, and that's why everything does just come and go so quickly. It doesn't make an impact either. The content itself often is flat. Yeah. There's my rant. Sorry.
No, that's.
I mean, Hollywood needs to go back to making movies like Speed.
Yeah, I just think diverse genre storytelling. I listened to a podcast actually with our old mate Sharon Stone recently, and I was listening to her, and I'm like, God, she should run a studio. I was like, the way that she talked about what's happening today, and it's like creative executives used to actually be really super creative and shepherd these films, take calculated risks, use their gut instincts to nurture a filmmaker like Ron Howard or Spielberg or whoever to make their Jaws or Star Wars, and now it seems like it's just crunching numbers, it's running it through a spreadsheet, and what do we know, what are the algorithms and that sort of thing, and what can we crank out for as cheap and as quick as possible, and that's not the job of a studio executive, and at least in my opinion, and I agree with her, her comments on that, and is there anyone that just wants to do something bold? That Speed wasn't a brand when it came out, and people went to see it. So, anyway,
but also just it's not a bet to put money on somebody like Jan DeBont who's coming from cinematography.
Yeah,
but
it's like Barry Sonnenfeld who did The Addams Family,
right.
And then went to do Men in Black. He was a cinematographer too, and he's got his own unique style. That quick zoom in and that.
And this isn't handing it off to a rookie that is just out of film school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. Jan DeBont did what's his name? Verhoeven, right? He shot a lot of the Turkish Delight and all the Danish movies, right?
Dutch movies,
British
and then so they'd worked together a lot. He'd done it before he came to Hollywood
Danish,
for sure.
It's cheese Danish movie, the Dutch movie. Sorry, it's late.
How dare you?
But yeah, I feel like that kind of thing is something that we don't really see as often anymore. It's a strange times now.
I had hopes last year with Barbie and Oppenheimer that maybe it was coming back, because those movies, and whether or not you like them or not, it's totally fine. But it felt like an event. It felt like something was happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that there was some interesting lessons to take from that, and the fact that like even for Oppenheimer that you can get people to go see a 3-hour movie with very little action in it. And it can make close to $1 billion.
Right.
Again, like it's not too hard. Just set yourself the challenge and do it. And I think circling back to like Speed was considered a risk. Like a Paramount, every studio passed on the script for Speed.
Everybody didn't think that people would want to see a movie set all on a bus.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of funny because, I mean, there are numerous sections of this movie. It is like it is all about transportation: elevators, buses,
trains, cars, and we can't forget poor old Glenn Palmer, who loses his door.
Yeah.
Who loses his door. You know, when Keanu steals his car.
Yeah. Great character actor, great little bit in that scene. I think he's really, really funny, really effective. And that was something else that we as teenagers were just like, oh, those barrels are filled with water?
Yeah,
Are they?
Well, as a foreigner, I was always just like, oh, that's so weird.
I mean, I guess it makes sense if it's filled with water.
But I don't know that they are. I think maybe it was just for...
I thought they were filled with sand.
That's what I assumed.
I mean, for visual effect, it has to be filled with water.
Yeah.
It's a little more thematic.
Yeah.
Would you say this is your favorite Keanu Reeves movie? Bullet to your head. Gun to your head.
I think so, yeah.
Favorite Keanu Reeves movie.
I would say I like Bram Stoker's Dracula more, but I don't consider it
offers different things.
I don't consider Dracula Keanu Reeves
not at all.
movie. It's a Coppola movie to me.
Right.
It's but I think this is my... Yeah, I like this better than... I just rewatched the first Matrix 2 weeks ago with my husband. It still holds up. I love it. I still like Speed better as a Keanu movie.
All right.
There's a little known movie he did for Fox after this. It's a romance called A Walk in the Clouds.
Sure. I remember A Walk in the Clouds.
The foreign poster that we got was him in a singlet, a tank top kind of thing, which you guys had a different poster.
Hold on, let me try to find that.
When I saw that flyer in the theater, I was like, Mum, this Mother's Day. I was like, we're going to
Do you want to go to the movies?
And we did. I think my mum and I and my dad went on Mother's Day to see A Walk in the Clouds. And I think he's really, in terms of a romantic lead, I think it's the most romantic I've ever seen Keanu in a film.
Yeah.
Can you see it on your computer? No, see, no, that's not it.
It's
kind of like that.
it.
No, it's like that, but without her. We had, we had a poster like this with a tank top. See,
look at the arms in that one where he's
where he's holding her. Yeah,
geez.
see, we had a poster like that. But anyway, when I saw that poster, I was like, we're going to go see this. Yeah, see, that's the American poster.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of like that, but it's different. I can try find it.
Yeah.
The Australian one. Oh, look, there's... No, yeah, sorry. Everyone listening is like, what the hell is happening?
I would probably say Speed is one of my favorite Keanu movies.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is one of those actors that... He's so beloved with pretty much everybody in the industry, too.
So,
like John Wick
let
now.
me just say, there's a long period of time where Keanu's not taken seriously.
Bad actor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You remember Chain Reaction?
Oh,
Him and Morgan Freeman?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had the poster for Chain Reaction in my bedroom as a kid.
Fox stopped working with him for a while when he didn't do Speed 2. They stopped working with him, so they were very upset with him.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess he became a little bit of a people laughed at him for a while or something. But I always just I mean in Australia when he was making The Matrix, he was known for being the nicest guy. He gave everyone bonuses at the end of the shoot, and in Australia, every time Hollywood came to make a movie, it would get around really quick around Sydney or even Melbourne, depending, or Movie World up in the Gold Coast, Warner Brothers, if the person was a douchebag.
Sure.
And Keanu was like, everyone was like, this guy's the best, and please live here, kind of thing, you know. I've always liked him. It's like he's not someone whose career I've followed because I don't necessarily am drawn to all the films that he does.
Right.
Are you a big fan of the John Wick movies?
I like them.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan. In fact, I haven't seen the recent one yet. I like them. I think they're cool.
The last one is fucking insane.
Is it?
I like Chapter 4.
Yeah.
I actually think Chapter 3 is probably my favorite one of all of them.
Chapter 4 is just
Chapter 4 is really
we
good.
just lost all sense of reality.
Yeah.
If there was any
Do they
sense
go
of
into outer
reality,
space, like Fast
they
and the
might
Furious?
as well.
It's very Street Fighter that they're
Yeah.
getting in all of these matches in front of.
Well, I mean, listen, we are just to understand in these movies that their business suits are bulletproof.
Yeah.
See? We don't know.
Right.
They're getting shot
Right.
several times over, and there's nothing happens. It doesn't
him
make
falling
sense.
down the stairs at the soccer
At the
court.
soccer court,
Is
and
so good.
fighting his way up the stairs and then falling down after he made it to the top.
What's your favorite Keanu movie?
Oh gosh. Well, what were you going to say? Did you finish your thought about rewatching the first Matrix?
Just that it holds up.
Holds
Even
up
though
very
it holds
well.
up, it's fantastic, and it's great. But I still love Speed more.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You said you do love Speed more. I feel like I am very close to the Matrix just because I just was so big at the time. I've seen it so many times. I do love Speed. Gosh, yeah, that's a toss up. I do have a very, very, very big soft spot for the Bill and Ted movies.
Yeah.
I even kind of think Bogus Journey is a little bit more fun than the first Bill and Ted. So if I'm just like, I'm going to watch a Keanu movie tonight, I'm probably going to put on Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
Just because it's just a lot of fun. It's stupid. It's silly. But I love it. And, I really loved 40. Is it 47? How many Ronin are there? 47 Ronin? 27?
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
He's very charming in Something's Got to Give as the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that actually worked. It was actually really great casting. I was very surprised in him in that.
Yeah. But I just think it's unfortunate that for a very long time he was kind of subject to this kind of butt of the joke kind of thing about his acting and all that. And then it kind of turned around when we started getting this like really kind of nice guy persona, and that it was like real, right?
Yeah.
And so now I think he just has this reputation for being like one of the nicest people in Hollywood. He has a very tragic backstory.
Oh yeah,
his life story. There's a same amount of tragedies right up there with Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That was a Steel Magnolia joke. But it's pretty brutal. But I think the fact that he does go out of his way to do these things like making sure people are paid what they're worth, bonuses, things like that, all that stuff, and like just giving away a lot of his money and living a very modest home in New York. Kind of like living in just kind of like a regular style, like New York apartment, and taking the subway and like riding his bike still, and like still playing with Dogstar, the same band. Like, so that means that he is still with his same boys that he's been with for like 30 years. Like that also kind of adds to this whole like, hey, that kind of means something. So it's just, I don't know.
Have you guys heard about how him and Sandra were crushing on each other during this movie, and they both were like kind of giddy, but they both didn't want to say anything. And years later, isn't
we
that
could have
amazing?
gotten a direction where they both dated
it
for
could have
longer,
been like a Tom and Nicole
it
situation.
We got the lake house.
We got the. We did get the lake house. I did see that at the movies. Yeah.
I was going to say, and was able. I mean, in early Gus Van Sant work, too.
My Own Private.
My Own Private Idaho. I could see a lot of Keanu's contemporaries looking at that role and being like,
fuck no.
hell no, I'm not playing a
Yeah.
gay street hustler in
Yeah.
this movie.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was an awakening for me. That was a movie that I saw at, probably 13 or 14, just being like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. I was really young too. And I remember, I think the love scenes are freeze framed this way Gus Van Sant, but they're not actual stills. It's actually the actors just
they're
not moving.
freezing. Yeah.
You can actually see them free. And it's like,
It's kind of like a photograph.
yes,
Yeah.
but the actors are still I was always just like, I didn't get it, but I was so literal back then. And now I'm like, that's very cool. Yeah, I remember that movie was whew.
That is from, it's in The Birds. When there's an explosion in the town, and Tippi Hedren is in a restaurant. They're looking out the window, looking down at the town, and it cuts to the explosion and a man on fire writhing around, and it cuts back to the window, and Tippi Hedren and everyone in the window are like, and it's
frozen?
a freeze frame, but it's not a freeze frame. They're still, and
So
every
he
time it
must have-
cuts back, they've shifted their gaze.
I wonder if Gus, that's where he did it, because
I would assume so.
he's such a Hitchcock
Yeah.
core,
Yeah, I
because that's
would
why he
assume
did
so.
Psycho too. That's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's really cool to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I saw My Own Private Idaho first.
Right.
So when I saw that, I was like, where have I seen this before?
Right.
And it was that.
What's your favorite Sandra Bullock movie, then?
Oh, man.
Because I don't know if I could.
Like a real Sophie's
can
Choice.
you choose?
Because she's done a whole multitude of things.
Right.
I would say Speed is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I would say the ultimate Sandy performance besides Speed would be While You Were Sleeping.
Interesting.
You love While You Were
I
Sleeping.
love While You Were
You
Sleeping.
love While You Were Sleeping.
I have to watch it every Christmas.
I don't know if I could pick a favorite, because I like all of her stuff for different reasons. Like we talked about, I actually really do. I didn't like it when I was young, but now I'm older. I like Hope Floats a lot now.
Sure.
I think it's a really beautiful
I
film.
should revisit Hope
I thought you were
Floats.
going to say all about Steve.
No, it's a beautiful. That's Steve. That's my favorite Bradley Cooper movie. All about Steve. Just joking. Love Brad. But it's such a beautiful film, and the relationships between the Gina Rollins and her, and then the daughter. It's one of the best child performances I've ever seen in a movie. Mae Whitman.
All right.
You will see.
Love Mae Whitman.
There's one part. You can even watch it on YouTube, and people are literally like, I did not come here to cry right now. It's just even without the context of the movie, it's just an incredible performance. But I really appreciate her work in Gravity. I think
she's so good in Gravity.
I think that people forget because there's so much pyrotechnics and so much clever. But there's a scene where she's acknowledging that she's going to die.
Yeah.
And I actually think the movie could have gone further in talking about her daughter and that sort of thing, because it's a little too hinted at, where I just don't think it lands as deep as it could. But her performance in that
Those
moment,
scenes always get me.
That performance in that moment, speaking of hope, you hope that she's going to make it, and she just plays this that moment of just doubt and quitting, or that I can't do this
When she
anymore.
hears the Russian man over the radio,
Yes.
and the baby crying,
that
scene always gets me.
Yeah.
Whenever I revisit it.
Yeah, it's an incredible. So I mean, and then she's done comedy stuff that I just like for what it is, and she's always been someone that's interesting to watch in everything she does, even if it isn't all about Steve.
Did you grow up on Love Potion number 9?
No.
I loved Love Potion number 9 when I was a kid.
No.
It's
We have a VHS,
Sandra
you can borrow
Bullock,
it.
Tate Donovan, and they were an item at the time. And I mean, it's right there in the title.
It's her Nutty Professor.
It's
her,
their Nutty Professor.
She's a nerd, and then
These
she
two
takes the
scientists
potion.
make this love potion, and then they go out in the world and use
heard about
it.
this.
And
Yeah,
she
yeah.
has a very take off the glasses, and she's like a bombshell. Yeah.
Right.
I loved Love Potion number 9. as a
Listen,
kid.
we both saw what is it? Lost City.
Yeah.
With Daniel Radcliffe and
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum's, and we were charmed as usual.
It was
right?
it was our Jewel.
Our Jewel of the Now. I mean,
Jewel of the
we
Nile?
can we
Yeah.
can we can talk about how how much we love Sandy all evening, but we should probably start to wrap this baby up.
Yes, thank you so much, Adam, for joining us for Speed. We talked about it on our last recording.
You did.
That when I found out that you're a massive Speed fan, when I showed you our lovely Laserdisc.
It's one of the hottest things I've ever seen.
We had to invite you back on for Speed, a movie that I always wanted to talk about.
Yes, thank you guys. This was tons of fun, and have me back anytime you like.
Absolutely. What did we just say we were gonna? You just said we'd have you back for something. What was it? It was a moment ago.
We'll figure it out.
We'll review and we'll figure it out. You'll be back.
Maybe.
The haunting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're always welcome. But this was a blast. So,
thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Listeners, thank you for making it to the very end. But stick around. We will be right back. Thanks for sticking around, listeners.
Another fun summer movies.
Oh my goodness.
Another fun summer movie.
I mean, when was the last time you sat down and watched Speed, you guys? Go watch it again. Is it streaming on anything?
I think on Stars right now.
Oh, Stars.
I mean, we bought this on digital a few weeks ago.
We've had it. Different formats, but because you always want to see Speed. But thanks for sticking around, everybody. Fun episode. Thank you so much, Adam, for coming on again and having a really fun conversation about the movies. We got a little in the weeds, a little inside baseball, but I think those conversations are a lot of fun. So hope you all enjoyed it too. But I think right now it is just about that time.
Patreon shout-outs?
Time for some Patreon.
Let's hear 'em.
Shout-outs. We want to say a great big hello and thank you to all of our wonderful active patrons, including Jeff, Deja, Amy, Erica, Anna, Mitchie, our friends at How Do You Drew, Andy, Kate, Pep, Tammy, Roberto, Daisy, Patrick, Kelly, Chrissy, Stephen, Laura, Thomas, Lori, Brenna, Jess Rabbit, Lawrence, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Millie, Ted, Benny, Melanie, Susan, Shelby, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Aaron, John, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino. You guys.
Thank you so much. We have some really fun stuff on our Patreon right now.
Yes,
we mentioned in the episode that we just did a commentary for Twister. So we got back-to-back Jan DeBont movies that we were talking about. So our commentary for Twister is on our Patreon. We are doing a summer series of 90210. By the time this episode comes out, we'll have a very special episode that we talk about kind of the legacy of Shannon.
Yes.
That
Team Brenda all the way.
Team Brenda all the way. We were very sad to see that news on Sunday morning when that happened. It was right before we were about to record our bonus episode where we were talking about an episode of 90210. So we decided to hold off a little bit, but by the time this episode comes out, it will be on our Patreon. So go check that out. And also, you'll get the 90210 episode, plus our monthly television episode.
Yes, at the $5 level, you'll get our television that keeps us gay monthly episode, as well as our summer series of every other Monday, Beverly Hills 90210 Rewatch. And at the $10 level, you'll get all of that TV stuff, plus the Watch With Us commentaries. So, head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for all of our supplemental features. Tons of bonus episodes waiting for you right over there.
You know what is free is to write us a nice review.
Yes, indeed. If you are an Apple Podcast user, or even if you're not and you just have an iPhone or an iPad, go ahead and open up the podcast app. Search for Movies That Made Us Gay. First thing you're going to do is you're going to give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Second thing you're going to do is you're going to write us a review. It's easy, it's free, and it takes none of your time. Just write, hey, love it, great show, and we'll read it. Last one was June 4th, you guys. We need a new one. We need a new review. But go ahead and hit those 5 stars. If you're on Spotify, you can also do a 5-star rating, but Apple Podcasts is the only one where you can write the review. So go ahead and do that. And then follow us on all of our socials.
Most active on Instagram.
Yes, indeed. We're at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram. We're most active over there. Give us a follow. And, any interaction, any connection that you can do, like, comment, save, share, post to your stories, to your timeline, all that stuff, all of that interaction with our account really helps the algorithm. It helps to get the word out and spread our joy that is Movies That Made Us Gay. So do all of that fun stuff for us over on Instagram. We're also on X and all those, but we're most active on Instagram.
Go ahead and follow our personal accounts. I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. I'm on Instagram as well. My name is @Peter Lasagna, and you can follow me on X if you want. I don't really post there. But thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for all the follows. We will be back next week with a fresh new episode.
Bye.
Bye.